By the way, as Brian Davies is uh, describing what Hume said, that shouldn't be taken as an endorsement on his part of Hume. As a matter of fact, he thinks, I believe, that some versions of the teleological argument um, are, uh, are sound arguments. And I was actually impressed. I think he openly admitted in the chapter on cosmological arguments that Kalam is sound, and that's kind of refreshing to read a philosopher other than William Lane Craig, who is talking about the Kalam and actually agrees that it is a compelling argument for the existence of God. Now he tries to, Brian Davies tries to be objective and not come right out and say, I'm a Christian or I believe in God. He does try to be objective um, in his description of the arguments in this book. Um, but I think he would fall under the category of a theist and perhaps a Christian, just based on what I've read in this book. All right, finally, says Hume, there remain three other objections to design arguments, that is Hume's last 3 points. The first is that the universe can easily be regarded as a living organism, such as a plant, in which case design arguments fail because they depend on comparing the universe to a machine or artifact. Well, if the universe is analogous to a living organism, we could still ask where the living organism comes from. So that would be more of a cosmological argument, but it doesn't defeat the general case for a god. Um, and also plants. Plants are a kind of um, machine version 2.0, if you will. Machines have an order to them. They have purpose. There's the pollination and so on. Acorns always turn into oak trees. Um, so we shouldn't assume that a plant is not designed. But I see no reason why the world couldn't be compared to a living organism on the one hand, and then on the other be compared to a man-made machine. So uh, I think analogies are not mutually exclusive necessarily. Um, uh, Another example, a sculpture, the statue of David by Michelangelo, that's analogous to a human being in some ways. It's also analogous to a mountain in some ways. It's hard, it's, the same material. Um, so it's not um, mutually exclusive analogies. The second is that the order in the universe could easily be the result of chance. Well, I'm not sure how easy it is. Um, I suppose if you have um, the materials already in place and natural law, scientific laws of nature in place, um, then there is, in a sense, chance creating different combinations of the matter. Um, but chance, in and of itself, can't uh, can't produce anything. because chance per se uh, doesn't uh, doesn't exist. It's a way to describe a real process. Uh, if you draw a certain card out of a deck of cards, you got that by chance, but it was really the physics of the shuffling, and you weren't really paying attention to exactly which cards were where, because you could only see the back of them, and so on. But if you knew all the um, if you understood everything that was going on, you could explain why the five of clubs or whatever was drawn. It's not chance per se that is causing that. It's the shuffling. Um, but uh, the deeper question is, uh, who wrote these laws that would operate on matter in a certain way? So if in the workings out of the laws on matter, a designer is not immediately necessary, um, at the very least, the design inherent within the laws um, would call for some type of lawgiver or uh, a designer at that level of explanation. Okay, and also, I mean, we're talking about um, so many different things that are just right. Um, it seems that when each part and the whole as well are just right for various ends, for various goals, that there is intentionality involved, that there is teleology. The third objection of Hume's, which would actually be the eighth, but the third of the last three, the final objection of Hume is that design arguments are suspect because the universe shows many signs of disorder. Well, if if we have definite order, definite design, intent, presupposing intentionality, um, then if we also find disorder, that doesn't negate the order that we found first. Um, uh, it could be that the designer, uh, who we've already seen does exist on the basis of the teleological argument, it could be that this designer did not design everything within the world. Maybe he only designed the parts that are not just teleological. Um, so that's not a good uh, a compelling defeater of the teleological argument. The design that we find is um, presupposing a designer. What is not designed, if we can find things that aren't designed, um, that does nothing to say that what we found first was the result of divine action, of intentional design. Um, but I think when we talk about disorder, um, and I'm almost out of time, I'm going to have to say this for one more video to talk about not so intelligent um, design, if you want to call it that. So one video left to go, and thanks for watching.